Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, and State Farm. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Thank you, Alec Webb, and welcome to MotorWeek podcast number 156. And I want to also welcome State Farm as the latest advertiser on MotorWeek on public television. We are thrilled to have State Farm as a member of our team. And gosh, I don't know. It's a very exciting day because they're the first automotive insurance company that we've had as an advertiser. And we're just delighted to have them on board. Many happy returns. Okay, around our table today is our road test producer, Ben Davis.
Present.
Our assistant producer, Greg Carlos.
Hey.
Our online content coordinator, Patrick Lucas.
Here.
And fresh from Florida, our FYI reporter, Lauren Morrison.
Hello, hello.
And we have a lot to go through today. Lightning round, viewer questions, see if anybody has a rant and rave. But this is a special show because this is the first podcast we've done after we announced our 2017 MotorWeek Drivers Choice Awards at the Chicago Auto Show. Now, our awards cover lots of categories. We don't just give out one, although we do give out a best of the year. And the reason we do that is because people basically have lots of different needs, and it's kind of been the hallmark of our awards since we inaugurated it back in 1982. We also are fluid. If there are vehicles that we don't think are eligible one year, if there's something in the class just doesn't have any new entrants, we won't do an award that year. Once a vehicle has won, it can stay as a winner for 2 years. It can repeat. We basically look at vehicles vis-a-vis other vehicles in their class, but here's the most important thing. We call it Drivers Choice Awards because if we were buying a car in this segment, it would be the one we would choose because we like driving it. That's something that we've always maintained kind of ownership of, and I think it's true of the members this year. So the way we're going to do this, to get through this pretty quickly, is I'm going to mention a class and the winner of the class, and then a couple comments from around the table about why it won. Best small car, a repeat winner, Honda Civic, and for a very good reason, is they have the new hatchback this year, among other new issues. Comments about the Civic?
Yeah, I mean, one of the few categories where I felt like a repeat winner was truly called for. Now that they've got they just released the hatch and the coupe and everything, we've driven all three. It's just, as it always has been, really just a solid driver's car.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also great looking for a change. Most dynamic styling I think we've ever seen on a Honda.
Could use some more
product.
wheel choices, but yeah, I agree.
Best family car. Okay. In an age where SUVs are king, and especially at this manufacturer, it's all about pickup trucks, the best family sedan for 2017, the Ford Fusion, but for one specific reason, right?
The Fusion Sport.
Oh.
New trim.
Woo!
And it's not just a name. No. I mean, they really stepped up. Segment-leading items like continuously variable damping system, first in its class.
That's a hot rod.
You know, with F-150 basically being what that company is right now, they could have just avoided spending any money, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Crazy good seats, too.
Yeah.
It's a sleeper car.
It is a
I was just
sleeper car.
about to say that.
Yeah. Best convertible. He should have said it. Mini Cooper convertible. Why? Everybody says, that's too small.
I spearheaded this movement because...
Which is weird because you normally wouldn't ever champion
That's true.
Mini.
That is true. But it was the only convertible that I've been in quite a long time where you actually had a true sense of the windshield frame in front of you, and it wasn't towering over your head like so many sloped
So you felt like you were in a
go.
convertible.
Absolutely. It was well ahead of you. It felt like you were in a 50s wooden speedboat where the windshield's way in front of you. And to me, that was just awesome to have a 360-degree air around you and open sky everywhere because, let's face it, sadly, like with the Cascada, that windshield, so it might as well be over your head because it just sweeps back so far, and a lot of other cars are like that too. So I had to give it to him.
I've forgotten. Is it Cascada or Cascada?
Cascada. I think it's Cascada.
Okay. Good reason. Best luxury sedan, Mercedes-Benz E300. Now, okay, it had a decent semi-autonomous driving system, but beyond that...
Who cares about that?
There you go.
That thing was...
Driver's Choice
Award.
Award.
Super nice.
I just thought it was incredibly luxurious, comfortable, looked great. Inside. Outside was nothing special, but still a luxury car.
The tech was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Everything about it was just really solid. Enjoy to drive, comfortable.
Best sports sedan, Audi A4. Got most of the votes easily.
That one was, it's kind of hard to see literally because although it is a new A4, it looks basically the same. But hop inside, you got the virtual cockpit. Everything is still beautiful on the inside. It's a comfortable car. It's just hard to find something more. It's hard to find more of a total package in that segment, I think.
What great interior. I mean, even forget the driving aspect. Just if you're stuck in traffic, it's just a beautiful place to be stuck in. Best Sport Coupe, another return winner, the Chevrolet Camaro. Not only the 1LE, but the ZL1.
Oh, my goodness. The ZL1.
And you just finished 4 days at a racetrack with that, Bubba.
Wow, I came away probably most impressed with that car. The sound just from the outside, but driving it, that thing does amazing things. It's not a cheap car, but considering what else we were driving, I mean, it stacks up against all those $100,000 cars very, very nicely.
That was a beautiful car, too.
It was a beautiful car.
I mean, I've been pretty vocal about not being a big fan of just how, I would say, mild the change this current gen Camaro has been compared to the outgoing one. But, I mean, on the ZL1, you can really appreciate the changes that have been made. They're really in your face, and you can't help but take back and notice them and how different they really, truly are, and overall beautiful, especially
and it really
ZL1.
did well on the track.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Speaking of performance, best performance car, BMW M2.
This one was, I think we actually had a lot of argument about this. I think I championed for the Corvette Grand Sport, but I really couldn't be upset with the M2. That really went back to basics. What was the M3 a decade ago is now the
used
M2.
To say whatever happened to.
Yep. Perfect size, everything.
And steering feel, something I
It was
thought that
there.
maybe BMW forgot all about. Best small utility, not a repeat winner, but certainly a perennial winner, the Honda CR-V.
We have it in right now for testing again.
You know, we've driven several of them before we gave the award. I drove this one that we have in last night. You look around it, you just think, wow, it just keeps nailing it right on the head.
Just like the Civic, it's an amazing interior.
It's nailed it from the start. No.
You know, one of the original small crossover concepts, and they just keep improving it. However, I will say, it does have that radio volume knob, which is a big plus. What?
It still needs a tune knob.
Yes, it does. It really
Perhaps
does.
more importantly,
Yeah.
I think the tune knob is the important one.
I think so,
But
too.
That's,
Can't
that's
have
for
one
another time.
It's like only having a salt shaker or a pepper shaker.
A vehicle that I think surprised everybody because it is as good as it is, and it's very good. Our best large utility, the Mazda CX-9, especially since it replaced an antique.
Yeah.
I think that's
Tasteful styling all around.
Absolutely. And I think because we had spent so much time in the previous CX-9, it was much more apparent now how much of an evolution there was between the last gen and this one. And another car that I just came away thoroughly impressed by.
You know, it's actually a really attractive big crossover.
And they did themselves a huge favor by making that new top tier, what is it, the Prestige or the Platinum, whatever that super top trim level is that pushes it way over the top in terms of luxury and comfort and look.
Did you miss a 6-cylinder? Because it's 4-cylinder powered.
Nope.
4-cylinder
Not me.
turbo.
Nope.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Best luxury utility. I have to tell you, my personal favorite, the Jaguar F-Pace. I was just blown away by this vehicle. I thought they could have gone cheap, copied a Land Rover or something, but what a piece of work.
Yeah, it's got some growl. There's some real muscle there. It's definitely sport-tuned suspension, great feel. I mean, for a driver, it's the way to go. There's
and
no
for
doubt about it.
for their first luxury utility, they hit it out of the park. Best minivan, we mentioned it earlier, the Chrysler Pacifica. Granted, it's the only new minivan on the market right now, but we do have a new Honda Odyssey coming out in the fall, and it'll be interesting to see how they match up. I just think they took the basic concept and made it modern and a lot better.
And, if the Odyssey can play tic-tac-toe and checkers in the back, then maybe it'll have a case for stealing the title, but I don't know.
Joe and I spent 45 minutes playing one game of checkers on the way down the road. It was grueling.
I'm if I was in the market for a minivan, which I might be someday, that fold in the floor second row still just has everybody beat.
It's so easy.
And the push button third row, folding flat in it's effortless now. You don't have to do it. You still second row takes a little bit of muscle, but yeah. Awesome.
They did a good job. Best pickup truck, Nissan Titan. This is also a repeat winner. Basically, it was for the XD, primarily the diesel last year. Now it's for the full lineup. Nissan just basically did it right. They basically looked at the pickup truck market and said, let's do something a little bit different. Let's slot it in between the full size and the super size. And I think they've done a nice job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very solid. All right, nothing else to add. Best eco-friendly, Chevrolet Bolt EV. Hits the sweet spot everyone kept saying needed to be hit, which is a 200-mile-plus range and under $30,000, even though it's just a few bucks if you throw in the incentives. But beyond that, driving it is very entertaining. It looks a little bit like a small SUV. Any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think the biggest thing is that Chevrolet just kind of delivered on their promise. They told us what they were going to do, and they went above and beyond their expectations. And driving the car, it's like, I mean, it's not my favorite car to drive, but if I'm going to be driving an EV,
driving an appliance.
I'm not making any sacrifices by jumping into it.
And with a hatchback body style, it's very useful. That brings us to our best dream machines. The Acura NSX was on the list of 3. Personally, it's true to the original techno-exotic aspect of the NSX, and very fast and entertaining car. Any other comments?
I thought it was.
Do you like the look of it?
I like the exterior look of it. I think it's really cool. Interior, like I think we've covered a few times, it's kind of pedestrian, but I mean, you still drive it, and still it feels like a supercar. Our
next dream machine, maybe give us a comparison. McLaren 570 GT. Now, it's a totally different car, totally different animal here. If you had lots of money, which one would you buy?
Oh, don't look at me.
Nobody wants to say. That'd be a tough one. Take one of each. And then another car we just finished doing roundy rounds at Roebling with is the Porsche 911 Turbo S.
That's the one I take. That's the one I take.
Yeah, absolutely.
I knew they were going to say that. Our best of the year car is the Pinnacle, and it goes to the Chevrolet Bolt EV. And for all the reasons we said before, we just think, it wasn't Tesla or some other high-end market brand that hit that new sweet spot that critics and consumers have been talking about that electric cars had to meet for a long time. Chevrolet's done it. It's a good driving car. You can charge it. They've given it a complete charge in 9 hours on 240 volts. And if you're at a DC fast charger, you can get in 30 minutes, 90 miles worth of range. It has great visibility. They really did a good job.
And you know what I like the most is that rather than, some other EV company who has been touting one for a long time and we still have yet to see it, it just kind of came out. They talked about it for a little bit, and then it actually came out, and it lives up to it.
Too soon.
I don't know of anybody that's reviewed it that has found any serious shortcomings or found somewhere that it didn't meet the promise. So that right there is pretty amazing for any kind of advanced concept. And by the way, it's got all the connectivity you could possibly want on the inside of it. Well, that's our MotorWeek 2017 Drivers Choice Awards. I hope you get a chance to catch our show in the full presentation. It'll show up on, if you don't get it on public TV stations or Velocity, it'll be on YouTube in a couple of weeks. But we had a lot of fun this year. I would point out that the Bolt EV was a unanimous choice from our staff. We get together in December every year and sort of fight for about 3 hours and put all of our passions on the table and come up with a list that we hope will help you and a lot of other people in the market for cars.
And we're all still friends.
Yeah, we're all still friends.
It does get a little heated at times. Just can't take it personally, man. I like to argue. I think that's fun. Yeah. Some people get
choose whatever you want.
Some people get
see you next year.
A little offended.
The second thing I want to talk about in the first part of our podcast today is another Lauren Morrison special. This is a segment that we asked her to do based on one phone call we got from one viewer. But we said, what are some of the – all these cars have so much new technology, but what are some of the things that we really don't like about cars today. Our pet peeves. Lauren, give us an idea of what you came up with. Then I'm going to ask everybody if they've got something to add.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. We were just talking about cars that we love. Well, we also love to talk about cars and
This is
things that we
pieces.
hate. Yeah, pieces that we hate. So, like you said, we got a phone call from a gentleman who he has a Porsche 911, I believe, and he would take it around the track and.
guy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo. But he, at the track, you have to have your windows down, your sunroof closed, and it was a horrible wind throb. So he was like, I can't even take it. It's so bad. Yeah. There's actually, there's a name for it, and I completely forget. But so he was like, all right, I'm going to go online. There's got to be an easy fix. Well, there's an easy fix, but it's pretty expensive. So he said, I'm just going to make like a little wind diffuser out of an orange juice carton. And he ended up making this little device that cost him $5. And so, like you said, it got us thinking, what do we really not appreciate about cars these days? It's funny, we were talking about in the last podcast, infotainment and touch screens, and that seemed to be the big pet peeve of everybody. We even put it out to a lot of you guys on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. Everybody sounded off saying the same thing, like, hate infotainment systems, hate all this new technology. Like, I don't even feel like I'm driving a car anymore. We also talked, a lot of people are like the safety systems, blind spot detection or, lane keep assist. Some people just were not feeling it.
Well, because every time you drive down the road, you've got all these sounds
Yeah,
going off,
or your
and
seat's,
lights,
like,
or your seat
vibrating.
vibrates,
Yeah.
and it's like sometimes you just want to sit back and enjoy the drive.
Yeah, and you don't.
And I'm not saying zone out. I'm just saying just enjoy it. And it's got beep bop, and it's like
When we just had our long-term pilot go out. How long do we have that thing? A year?
over a year.
Over a year.
It
And
served us well.
I know what you're talking about.
The last day we had it, which was yesterday or 2 days ago, I finally figured out what this random chiming was. I think it's when you're.
You found out?
I
what
think
it was?
it's when you're coming up on traffic, when you're driving on the highway.
the
and
radar cruise control.
or something. No, I think it senses like a traffic jam ahead of you, and it chimes probably about a quarter mile
through
ahead.
the nav system, or
I
is
don't
that
know.
it's not a sensor thing? Is
Some
it?
Honda expert out there
it might
will
be like
tell
a
us.
satellite thing, like reading traffic information. Because
That makes
There has
sense.
been since day one
Just it chimes
a
randomly.
chime, and it's like when you try to replicate it and show somebody, you can't make it do it.
I
Like,
swear that's
you're
what it is.
crazy.
I
It
swear that's what
probably
it
is
is.
something attached to the navigation system. That was a great vehicle. It sure served us well. We literally drove the wheels off of it since we had to
Yes, we did,
put two
yeah.
tires on it to get it home from Georgia. Anything else? Any other pet peeves?
Well,
I think a lot of y'all chimed in on my piece, so you guys
yeah.
everybody had their say on.
Try and stop us.
y'all know me.
Yeah.
No, I
everybody
hate piano black.
Why?
Well,
Because the fact it shows everything.
because you breathe on it and it scratches. But I'm not going to go there right now.
He's calming
well, not
down.
interior piano black, but I've been noticing people are putting this on the B pillars on the outside as just to blanket all out and create one big open looking space.
Floating roof.
But
Floating roof.
good God, have you seen this piano black on the outside of cars?
Yeah.
Miserable.
Leno.
There's no way you can make it look good.
Have you seen this?
You watch the car. You go through rain, it scratches. You touch it with anything, it scratches. And I mean, how do you get the scratches out? I mean, we're talking about a car with less than 1,000 miles on it, a high-end car. B pillars just scratched, look like cobwebs all over them.
Yeah, I've looked at some
Mic
of the
drop.
ways you're supposed to be able to buff it out and so forth, but it's like with all the work they do to make durable paint finishes,
I didn't
why
sign
would they
up for
put
this.
something like that on the exterior of a car? I mean, it must look good to some designer, but it doesn't seem to have the durability to
Just
hold
give me
up.
pieces of black glass there and just
Yeah.
let me take my chances with it getting chipped.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I could have a million. The first one that comes to my mind is when I'm specifically Mercedes-Benz, when you move forward with the door a little bit open, which I know you shouldn't technically be doing, but we've all had to do it. If I knock a cone over at the track, which happens very often, I like to grab the cone and put it back in position,
Right.
literally 2 feet in front of me if I can just move. But it throws
It throws
into
it
park,
into
and it
park.
doesn't just like stop you. It throws you forward and makes a terrible sound, and it's just
I think
it's
that
awful.
is their solution to these folks that with e-shifters are not putting them back in park and having the vehicles roll
Well,
away.
you know, now you mention it like that, that's very smart.
but
That's exactly-
e-shifters in general, I hate. You know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We know.
Rotary push button. I mean, I lived through the original push button era, folks. You know, nothing works as good as a good old gear handle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. All right, thanks, Lauren, and thanks, everybody. That was fun. We're going to move on now to our lightning round. We've got 2 minutes to talk about a trending automotive topic. This has been getting so much play. Walmart was in the news recently announcing that they're actually sort of getting into car sales. They're partnering with an online site called Car Saver, and we'll have kiosks with human beings in them in selected stores. There's 25 right now, but probably all of it by the year end in their super centers. And they'll let customers shop and compare vehicles. They'll be able to negotiate. Actually, the price will be set. They'll have no haggle pricing. They'll be able to get their financing okayed. They'll be able to do just about everything except drive the car. And for that, then they're sent to the dealers who are part of the program, who will be waiting for them. The interesting thing is where they tested it somewhere in Florida last year, 80% of the people that went the final step of going to the dealer actually bought cars. It goes one step beyond what, say, Costco has, because there's actually a human being there, and it's not just a referral service. It goes beyond that. Surprise? Is this a trend? Do you think the next step is actually having cars in big box stores? Do you think it's a good idea? That's probably the one of the key things. What do you think about it?
I can't help but have like a vision. When you said kiosk, I assumed like it was automated. But then when you said there's a person
there.
I imagine
with
like a booth. Where, like you pull the curtain open and there's a guy just standing there looking at you.
You know how you come to the end of the checkout, and there'll be displays for trips and air conditioners.
Now I get it. That was my first thought.
Like an early cell phone kiosk.
Yeah, I get it now, but that was just my first.
But is it a good idea to buy a car that way?
What is their return policy? Because
that's all with the dealer.
I have my receipt.
So I don't know. I get it because it is like the bane of my existence to go and haggle and go to one dealer, go to the other. I mean, you spend
it's
the whole
like a whole
week.
day.
Yeah,
or
it is.
More than a day.
Yes, it is
that's
very
who this
stressful.
is directed
And
at.
so, exactly. But no, I can get it if I'm actually looking into doing this as a piece. Is if you could go buy it online, go pick it up, and test drive it for say like a week or something, and then be like, you know what? I'm just not feeling this. Like, I need to take this back. I need to, I don't know. And can you really, even with a test drive at a dealership, really get a feel for it? So
yeah, various manufacturers have tried that, try it and bring it back routine. They usually do it when sales are really in the toilet. So
in my opinion, just off the surface, in the whole dealer, you still have to go to a dealer to drive it until they can eliminate that aspect of it. I really don't see
state franchise laws are going to probably never allow that to happen.
Who are they trying to get? The person who's leaving Walmart and says like, all right, I got my milk and bread, and man, I forgot to buy my car. I got to go back in.
I think they're trying to get the person who, as Lauren mentioned, hates the whole buying process, is attracted by a no-haggle pricing. And by the way, they claim, and I think there's a caveat here, that the average saving of people in the pilot program was $3,000. But my bet is that an awful lot of those were pickup trucks because they have high markups. A lot of small cars have only hundreds of dollars of markups. So I think they're trying to get the person who hates the whole process, who's been thinking about a new car but didn't quite, go to the dealership. And now they can. I should point out that apparently there's a $350 fee that gets paid from the dealer to, I guess, Walmart
People
and Car Saver for every one of the leads that results in a sale. And that is included, though, in whatever price they quote you, so it's not added on. I've read a lot of articles about this, and a lot of people say is, number one, you're lazy. Number two, you can probably go to your own credit union and get a better rate. So you should at least check with them about loan rates. And the scary part is often even when you get a good deal on the price, you might get to the dealer and they want to upsell you with a lot of packages on the back end. So that's really where you've got to be very careful and not essentially give back all of your savings for things like paint protector and whatever, lifetime engine warranties and all that stuff. So I think it'll probably be some additional sales because I don't know about you, but every Walmart I drive by is crowded 24 hours a day.
I was about to say, people go to Walmart and they trust.
They do trust
Walmart.
Them, yes.
So,
right.
Going there, they'll be like, they wouldn't,
And there's no indication. I don't think this operation inside Walmart, I think it's totally legit.
Yeah,
and
sure
so far, when you look at some of the dealerships they've signed up to work with them, like AutoNation, the biggest operation in the country, they seem to be up and up. I think it's going to come down to the quality of the local dealerships that they tie in with. If they tie in with reputable dealerships, you're going to get that same kind of quality treatment. The understanding is if customers have bad experiences with dealerships, they will be dropped from the program. So we'll see. So it's something new.
That's a record. It was 4 minutes
Sorry
and
about
10
that.
seconds.
But it's an interesting new twist in the business. We have a question from Dennis. What is the best way to calculate gas mileage? I keep a logbook
Short
on
and
my
simple.
own, all my cars, on where gas is purchased, maintenance, new tires, etc. Okay, how do we do it?
We do it the exact same way he just mentioned, right? Keep a logbook of all gas we put in the car and if you want to keep track of price, but always make sure you see how much you put in, how many miles you've driven in between. Just keep your odometer reading, and that seems to be the most accurate way.
I will say this, and I encountered this when I rented a car on a recent trip that I went on, not for work.
You actually had time off?
Yeah, it's rare.
We're doing something wrong.
But
it was a suggested time off.
the auto shut off when you fill your tank, correct?
Yeah.
Doesn't always match up the same every time you fill up. So,
sure
for instance,
doesn't.
I went to return this car to the airport, and I put it in there and let it run, and I assumed that when it clicked off, it was full. I got back in the car, and it was only like 3/4 full.
Was your engine running?
No.
Okay.
No, I never do that. I never do that.
I had that
I'm not
happen.
stupid.
I was in a hurry. Well, thanks. I was stupid. I had that happen. I had actually left the engine running, which you shouldn't do, by the way. That's a very bad thing to do for a lot of reasons. And it wouldn't take gas.
Huh. Well, that's probably smart.
And I thought it was filled, and I got back in and it wasn't. And so I drove
So anyway, my only point for that whole tangent is that when we go and fill back up to full, is that always full can mean a lot of different things.
Full can mean a lot of things. When we are actually doing, we primarily are talking about, Dennis, our long-term cars that are here for a long time. When we are doing a mileage loop on the car, the requirement is that we go to a station, we fill up at that station, and we go back to that same exact pump at that same station for the top off.
And fill back up to full.
So that we've got the best chance of getting it accurately. Now, we also, of course, take a look at the miles per gallon readout in the car, but we generally find they lack in complete accuracy from car to car. So we compare the two. But if you are actually doing a how much did I get during this last period and you want a number, same gas pump, same station, fill it till it clicks the first time, and then do the math. And that's probably pretty close. Okay, any rant and raves from anyone? We sort of already had those, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anything new?
I'm all out.
Let's see.
Do you want me to think of something? Or do you have something?
The only thing, this actually pertains to all of this autonomous driving stuff that we're being exposed to.
Again.
I mean, most of us are not happy with what we've experienced so far. But, the single biggest problem seems to be legibility of the lines painted on the roads.
Yep.
And if we're ever going to have autonomous driving work, given the current technology we have now, which is cameras and radars, it seems to me that not only do the lines have to be kept up and be visible in the dry weather and well as the rain, and I don't mean pouring down rain, but just a little bit of rain will obliterate them. But also, they have to be uniform from one state to the next. And, all this talk about autonomous driving, nobody seems to be going there until just recently I've started to read, this might work on a closed course like a college campus or something. If that's what we're aiming for, we're spending an awful lot of time and money on something I'm not sure it's going to help most people.
And we brought it up multiple times when you're driving along using something like lane keep assist, and then all of a sudden your shoulder line disappears.
It's
And
been
then,
patched or something.
right, and then the system just shuts off, and you were trusting the system, and you sort of drift, and then you bounce back, and then all of a sudden you start drifting, and nothing happens, and you just keep drifting over. What's the point of that?
So far, we've not come across a system that didn't require more paying attention to see if it's working than if you were just basically driving yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if there's any rant and rave, I think it's with, I don't know, maybe our part of the medias, maybe the consumer media. People are getting all hopped up about some of this stuff that isn't there yet. Now, having said that, things like automatic braking, which are part of the systems, they're definitely going to pay off and save lives. I'm just not sure. At the point right now, the sum is not greater than the whole of the parts. So what's the quote? The sum is greater. The sum is greater than the parts.
Just blew my mind with that.
But anyway, right now the parts make more sense than the sum, I guess. I want to thank everybody for listening to our podcast. You're on autopilot today. Yeah, well, that's pretty much the way you usually are, Greg. No. Podcast 156. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today and for tuning in to Motor Week. I want to thank everybody around the table. Assistant producer Greg Carlos, who just took a shot at. Road test producer Ben Davis. Online content coordinator Patrick Lucas, who's also the producer of the podcast. Our FYI reporter Lauren Morrison, who's graced us with her presence. Thank you very much. Come back anytime. See you again, right?
Hopefully,
yeah. Hopefully. Audio engineer Jim Bigwood, who makes sure we sound great at home. Podcast creator Bob Mixter. And I guess that pretty much wraps it up. I'm John Davis. Thanks for being a part of the Motor Week team, and join us again for more podcasts, and see us on Public TV, Velocity, and YouTube. Till next time, take care.
You've been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, and State Farm. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series, each week on your local PBS station.